welcome to Missed Checkpoints, the video game book club podcast. Today we're starting our discussion on Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. I'm your host Marcus, and joining me today as always are the homies. First off we have Dante.
What's good, guys?
Next we have Greg.
What up?
And last but not least we have the homie Trevor.
I'll kill you with my teacup. It'll all make sense.
We're talking about Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. This is Trevor's game for the month of September. As you can see, or hear, Trevor is a avid Chronicles of Riddick fan. He's a devout one. He's really hyped about it.
You can say that.
So I'm gonna kick it to him so he can introduce the game.
All right. So since this game is based on a video game, one of the best video game adaptations of a film ever made, or one of the best film franchises ever made. I'm gonna start with the films, just kind of giving you background. If y'all have any other questions about the films, please ask, because I've watched these films like at least 100 times.
So
like,
this is.
I got a question already. Are they as corny as the game?
Oh.
Okay. So
Starting early.
So one of the things about the films is, like, the first film was very low budget and it was really campy, which is what garnered like a cult following. And so the other films, as far as the dialogue, have really followed that. And so that's kind of where, you know, the quips that Riddick does and the really, like, campy dialogue that he has in the game, that's where that kind of comes from.
So it's like Fast and Furious, but in prison.
Oh man, I knew you were gonna.
Hey,
You know what though, but that
You
really
know?
does actually sound appealing to me.
Stop. We ain't gonna downplay Fast and Furious like it's not the best film franchise.
But I'll go ahead and get into it. So in the year 2000, the actor Vin Diesel, he starred in the low-budget film Pitch Black. And this film was actually renamed when it had a DVD release to the Chronicles of Riddick, Pitch Black. And I think that was kind of because once they came out with the sequel, that the sequel became sort of the center of this film franchise, and everything else was kind of surrounding it. It was kind of like extra information, adding on or building onto the universe around Chronicles of Riddick. But in Pitch Black, the main character is actually an anti-hero named Richard B. Riddick. And he's a notorious criminal who has the ability to see in the dark. And he's mainly known for two things. That's escaping and surviving. And in this movie, Riddick finds himself crash-landed on a desolate planet with a crew of other surviving passengers. And like I said before, this film was a sleeper hit, and it gained a cult following, which one of the reasons why they keep on making these movies is because of the DVD sales alone. There was even an animated short film that picks up right after Pitch Black called Dark Fury. And have any of y'all seen any of the Riddick movies?
So I saw Pitch Black, and like one of my friends and I think in high school was trying to get me to see it, and I just didn't really get the appeal of it at the time. And I don't really remember a whole lot of it today, but I definitely remember it just kind of not being too wild by it.
I attempted to watch Pitch Black recently, but I was unsuccessful. And I just always remember going to like Hollywood Video and seeing the DVD and thinking the DVD case looked cool, but I never watched it.
I have no history with that franchise.
Oh, man.
I remember reading some reviews of this game when it came out and hearing that it was really good, but that's about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, I think when I started getting Game Informer was around when this game first came out, and I remember hearing the praise for this game as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it had one of those cover stories, and I think it like had a really big review when it came out in Game Informer. And
yeah, and I think it was even regarded as the best video game uh, movie based off of, or video game based off a movie.
Yeah.
I think it probably
Yeah, up
still.
until that point, I'm trying to think of if there was anything else that was close to that.
I think it probably is definitely still like top three because I can't think of anything off the top of my head since this game came
Spider-Man
out.
2.
But Spider-Man 2 wasn't based off Spider-Man 2, was it?
Yeah,
It was just the sequel to a Spider-Man video game.
So the only other thing I can think of, and I don't know if you guys played it, it was the Path of Neo. That game, I think that was maybe one of the better ones.
You're either saying a really okay game or a really terrible game. I can't remember which. Because The Matrix is very spotty with its video game
Now, I remember
releases.
the one that had like the first Matrix one was one that had Jada Pinkett and somebody else in it as the main characters. That was pretty bad, but
I'm gonna look it up while Trevor's still introducing.
Okay. Well, so like I said, Pitch Black had an animated sequel. It was a short film that kind of takes place like after the events of Pitch Black. You'd have to see it to kind of understand it. But in 2004, a proper sequel titled The Chronicles of Riddick was released. And this story picks up 5 years after the events of Pitch Black. And it actually explores more of the lore around the Riddick universe, as well as the origin of Riddick. And it's in this film where we get references to Riddick's antics at Butcher Bay and Ursaluna, which are the prison settings for both of the video game prequels, Escape from Butcher Bay and Assault on Dark Athena. And so the first game, Escape from Butcher Bay, is actually the subject of our monthly podcast for this month. And Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay is a first-person action and stealth game. It was developed by Starbreeze Studios. And to all of our frequent listeners, that might sound familiar to you because they also developed Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons and Syndicate, which are other games we've played. So go and check out those episodes. It was released on June 1st, 2004, which was a week before the film Chronicles of Riddick premiered in theaters. Escape from Butcher Bay was also produced in partnership with Tygon Studios. And Tygon Studios is a developer founded by Vin Diesel himself. And it solely focuses on video games that feature Vin Diesel. So
That's tight.
did this studio do anything else? Or was that
it did Wheelman.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only non-Riddick game they made.
Another game that should have ended up on this podcast.
Hey, there's still time.
And another funny thing is Tygon Studios happens to be a subsidiary to One Race Films, which Marcus, I don't know if you know this, but it's a production company also founded by Vin Diesel that produced a lot of films starring Vin Diesel, including Fast and Furious and Triple X.
Yeah, I'm actually on the wiki page right now.
Yeah, and I believe they did like the reboot Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah,
all the ones after
the
Tokyo
good ones,
Drift.
the good ones.
Yeah, where they started to get like a story, like a storyline to them.
Yeah.
But Escape from Butcher Bay and its sequel, Assault on Dark Athena, both serve as prequels to the 2000 film Pitch Black. And if you watched the film Pitch Black, you might remember the character Johns, who's actually transporting a captured Riddick, similar to the game that we're playing. And like I said, this game is a stealth action game, which was influenced by other games like Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. And the version that I believe all of us are playing is a remake of Escape from Butcher Bay, which is bundled with Assault on Dark Athena. And that was released, I believe the original game was released on the OG Xbox.
I didn't look this up, but does anybody know if they changed the game at all in this remake, or if this is just like a pure, like, pretty much port to 360?
I want to say I read somewhere where it plays smoother.
I guess that would make sense. But as far as like any like changes
They redid
to
the
controls.
graphics with the Dark Athena stuff, if I recall.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, you can tell that it's not like just a straight up Xbox game. And one of the things I remember Game Informer pushing, like when the original came out, was is this new technology they had with graphics called bump mapping. And essentially, it's like you have a flat texture, and then you have stuff on top of it that makes it look, I guess, it has more depth to it. And you could definitely tell just like looking at some of the character models in this game, like, okay, well, they started with that, and then they probably improved on it when they ported it to 360 and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty cool, kind of like remembering them talk about that way back when, and then being like, oh yeah, they actually did have that. So.
And I ended up playing this when it first came out, but I just don't remember enough about how it looked as far as, you know, back then compared to like now. But it's still there's parts of the game I think that still look okay, but it definitely looks a little dated.
Did you remember beating it, or did you?
No,
it's another one of those.
Yeah, like I got a little bit past the prison section, and then that was it. Like, I don't remember if it was 2004. I was probably playing Halo at that point, and then,
I mean, why wouldn't you be though? You know what I'm saying?
so that's probably why I never got back to it.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I pretty much wanted to play this game. Like I said, this film franchise is one of my favorites. And Riddick is one of my all-time favorite characters. But the only thing that's kept me from playing this is I've never been like a huge fan of stealth games. So
that blows my mind because you like Assassin's Creed.
Well,
I mean, I've only played the first two.
Is it really a stealth game anymore?
I don't know. So to be fair, I don't know.
I'm playing this game like a stealth game.
Wait, what series did he say? Sorry.
I'm saying Assassin's Creed is Trevor's favorite video game series.
No, those are like the most anti-stealth games.
Yeah.
It blew my mind that he said Riddick had a character, but we'll get into that later.
Whoa.
I can't wait, guys. I cannot wait.
Okay. Well, you haven't watched the movies. Because, like, one of the cool things about the movies is, like, in each film, everybody's, like, afraid of Riddick. Like I said, he's this notorious criminal who supposedly murdered a lot of people. And part of me wants to say, you know, it's all a conspiracy against Riddick. You know, he's the black guy in all the movies, and
but Abbott's black.
They're just smearing his name. Well, in the movies.
Oh.
But, you know, it's basically the media portraying him as this, you know, evil person, which he's only had to kill in situations where it was absolutely necessary. But those people
to get somebody's eyeball.
Well, yeah, I like that. But that was because of the circumstances he was in. But because of that, like, everybody in the movies is, like, really afraid of Riddick. But then, depending on where he is, like what planet he's on, there's always something scarier than him. And then he ends up becoming like the leader, guiding everybody else. Like they end up following him. And so I don't know if that's going to happen in this game because, you know, we've only played up to like the halfway point now. So I guess we'll figure out on the next episode if it pans out similar to the films. But yeah. That's pretty much the reason why I wanted to play it, and so I'm glad I have people to talk about the movies with now. Because, like, back in high school when I first started watching this series, I didn't know anybody else who would ever watch these movies, or the people who did watch them weren't like enthusiastic about it. They were just like, "Oh yeah, I caught that on TNT," you know. So,
well. Thank you for that, Trevor.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of even already talked about I guess none of us has seen any of the movies, and this is like everybody except for Greg's first time with the game. Do you want to lead into the game, or how do we want to introduce this game? Should we talk about? Let's talk about the beginning. Let's talk about the opening cinematic.
Yeah, since I think that's everybody's like first introduction to Riddick, since nobody's seen the movies.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the opening sequence, there's a cinematic at the very beginning, and Riddick is in hiding, and like his hair is growing out, he has a beard, and he's in like a tundra type of environment, and he's hunting animals, of course, and then he like starts seeing visions and hearing voices. And this is actually, I guess, like a nod to Chronicles of Riddick, because it doesn't happen in Pitch Black, but there's a character who comes to him in like these visions and this voice named Shira, and she's kind of like his connection to his past, like on his home planet, because it hasn't said it in the game yet, but Riddick is basically like the last surviving person in his race, like which is he's from a planet called Furia, and it was explained in like the Chronicles of Riddick that there was a conquering race that went to Furia and killed everybody on that planet, but Riddick ended up surviving. Like I said, that's one thing he's known for, because he is what's considered an Alpha Furian, and so he has these powers, or not necessarily powers, but he's kind of like Captain America versus like a normal human. Like he can still die, but he's kind of just
Supercharged.
yeah.
So, first thing, you said he's from not Earth,
Right.
basically.
I don't
but he is
think anybody's from Earth.
He's a human appearing person,
Right.
and everybody else is human appearing.
Yes.
So, are there alien? Like, I mean, I
There,
know there's creatures,
I
but
think
like,
everybody that has been in this franchise has been a human character. The
Okay.
only other thing has been like monsters. Like there are creatures like in the first film there are these pterodactyl bats. In the second film, they have like these hellhounds. The third film they have these like scorpion type tremors monsters. And so they're but yeah, all the characters are actual humans.
okay, but they're just not from Earth.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because you're saying he's from a different planet. I'm like, wait, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Imagine a bunch of different Earths, like a universe full of Earths, and they just happen to travel across space and that sort of thing.
All right. Well, I actually didn't remember that part. I just remember the actual, like, the arrival is the part that I remembered.
Yeah.
And
Well, I remembered it mostly because, like, in the beginning of Chronicles of Riddick, he has that same appearance, and it's kind of funny to picture Vin Diesel, like, with fully grown hair and a beard and all that, because in all of his movies, he's bald, clean-shaven.
Yeah.
But he has that same appearance, so that led me to believe, like, this part of the game is actually taking place either right before Chronicles of Riddick starts, or somewhere. Well, yeah, it would have to be before Chronicles of Riddick starts. But the game ends up being a flashback to before Pitch Black.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
I guess that's something you wouldn't catch unless you've seen the films.
I did, like, I do intend to watch the movies, but because I looked at the chronology of the games to the movies, and I believe that said both the games are set before any of the movies. So I think it's set, like, the two games, then Pitch Black, and all the other Chronicles of Riddick stuff. So that seems how it was set up. But yeah, let's get in. Let's start getting into this game. So so Trevor said the game takes place in a flashback, and so it opens up with a cinematic where you see Riddick is being transported. Basically, there's a bounty on his head. So this person, Johns, is collecting him as a bounty. I guess Johns is a bounty hunter or something along those lines.
Yeah.
and he has a brief conversation with Riddick, where Riddick basically says like, "Hey, there's no way you're gonna get what you want from me," and this is kind of where you start to see Riddick's personality. He's very,
or lack thereof.
He's like, I don't even know. This is like action hero, or not hero, but just like a schwarmy, like
he definitely
like
comes
a lot
off
of one-liners.
one-liners, and just he's like a smartass. And like
pretty much Vin Diesel's like,
I know his whole MO.
Yeah.
I literally like I didn't realize. So I knew that Vin Diesel was the star of these movies. I didn't realize that he voiced himself either. Like I knew they had his likeness, but I don't know why, but I just didn't think that. So when I first heard his voice, I'm like, is that my boy? And then I was like, yeah. So my very first note was Vin Diesel with 3 exclamation points. So like I was in, because I was like, okay, like straight up, he basically is his character, Dominique Toretto from Fast and Furious, as far as like how he makes those smart ass like out the side of his mouth remarks when somebody of authority says something to him. And I don't know about Dante and Greg, but I was here for that, because I was like, okay, this is Fast and Furious adjacent. Okay. But he ends up waking up as they land and stands out in front of Butcher Bay because they're all waiting for the warden. And then I think he's being transported with a couple of other people, and I think one of them's like, hey, John, Riddick, John has his back on us, and then they're like, you got to do something. So then you as Riddick, this is where the game starts tutorializing the game for you. So it tells you how to move, and it tells you how to punch, and it tells you how to crouch, and at this point it shows you how to do a stealth kill, so you can sneak up behind somebody as long as they're not aware of you, and you can take them down. And it's basically just different speeds of cracking somebody's neck. It's either like you can silently crack their neck or break their neck, or you can quickly do it and make a big noise or whatever. So you just straight up murk Johns, and then you get his gun, and then you start going through the ventilation ducts, and basically you escape into the desert. And like it's all played out through tutorialization. So how'd you feel about that, Trevor? Being the Riddick fan, like how did you feel about the opening tutorial sequence, like starting off with a bang almost?
Well, first of all, as soon as he killed Johns, I knew something was up, because
spoilers.
I mean, not really a spoiler, but Johns is still alive in the movie that takes place after this game. Like he's still transporting Riddick at the beginning of Pitch Black, so I knew something was off when that happened. But of course, a lot of things in this franchise have been retconned. But as far as a tutorial, I don't know. I felt kind of misled by them making it into a dream, pretty much. That was the only thing I didn't like. But the fact that you actually get to learn how to climb and go through sewers, and it introduces one aspect. I think do the guards have weapons at that point?
They do, and
right.
That's when you find the DNA.
Exactly.
Which is a cool. You go ahead and explain that.
So basically, one of the guards loses his weapon, and I want to say this is in that first, before you even start going through the tutorial. But one of the other inmates that's being transported tries to pick up a weapon, and that's when you find out if you touch a weapon and your DNA is not encoded in the data bank or whatever, that it'll shock you. And so that's where you basically that's how they take away your ability to use weapons at this point, is by saying that you have to have your DNA encoded in them.
So, well, not weapons, firearms.
Right, firearms.
Yeah.
Of course, we know how prisons work.
Yeah, exactly. We know. So, I guess I don't actually not knowing the story of the series or whatever, I actually didn't have an issue with it ending the way it did. The issue I had is the game made it seem like it was going to be more stealth focused than it actually is.
Yeah.
And that was, knowing what I know about you, I was like, oh snap, Trevor seemingly chose a stealth game. All right, cool. Like, we haven't played a stealth game. This will be fun. And like, so like beyond just snapping John's necks, you're sneaking through ventilation ducts. You find out when you crouch in certain settings,
and shadows.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why I can, but yeah, in shadows, like your stealth and your screen gets a like a blue aura or tinge to it, and that means you are unseeable, or it's just harder to find you. And so you can take out guards and like kind of learn their walking patterns and take them out, and then you can even drag their bodies while you're crouched into the shadows so other guards can't find their body. And so I'm like, all right, cool, we're playing an actual stealth game. I haven't played a stealth game since Chaos Theory, the Splinter Cell game back in like the original Xbox. So I was like super hype about that. And ultimately, I think majority of the stuff that I've played in this game has just been in this tutorial section, which has kind of been disappointing.
I think there's some sections where you can be a little bit more stealthy, but for sure, I've just been trying to gun it out for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think
This is one of those games where you just don't get rewarded for doing any stuff, so...
Yeah.
Like, I find it a lot easier to shoot my way through most of my problems.
And I've probably only seen one situation where I've needed to drag a body out of view so the other guards weren't alerted.
I know, and that's like the disappointing part is like, it's cool that it's in the game, but like, it ultimately, like, it doesn't matter. But, I guess after you escape out into the desert, like kind of Trevor alluded to, you find out, like everything fades to white, and Riddick hears John say, "Rise and shine, Riddick," and turns out, I guess he was still like asleep or knocked out from the ride or whatever. So,
and that's actually another nod to the movies too, because there's one scene in Chronicles of Riddick where he's like escaping from this prison, and like he doesn't actually see how everything unfolds that leads up to the escape, but he's able to describe it like, scene for scene what happened. And then they look at Riddick like, "How did you know all this happened? You weren't even here." And he's like, "It was my plan." And so that's basically like him like formulating this plan to break out before anything even happens.
Okay.
Yeah. Before we get too far, I did kind of want to get everybody's opinion on what they thought about the opening tutorial sequence, because it for me it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth at the beginning of the game.
Like which part specifically?
I think it was just mostly mechanics, like just kind of how the game felt and how it played. Like it just
like the ragdoll when you drag a body.
That, and then I didn't feel like the aiming was very good. So just like early on, I just kind of got like I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this type of vibe. Like just from that alone,
I am disappointed that the stealth isn't a more fleshed out component of this game, because I freaking hate the combat in this game so much.
Okay, we can get to that once we go into the prison part. Cause we can go in about that.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm playing a Starbreeze game, guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah, dude, I
Which one?
hate both. Like
there wasn't any combat, brother.
Hey, I was puzzled.
Dude, like, yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it, man. I actually, the main thing for me with the tutorial was I had to tell myself I'm not playing a 360 game, I'm playing an original Xbox game, so these controls are going to be a little bit like, I think, what is it, like to crouch is X or something like that, which is like normally it's like you either click in a thumbstick or you hit B. I think to pull up there's a weapon wheel, and I think that's to pull that up is like right bumper.
Which I don't even remember it telling you that.
They do at one point. I just can't remember at where, but they definitely give you a tip about that.
What else is there? There was something else really wonky about and like I kind of going.
Oh,
with
the fact that X isn't reload, that just always
yeah.
What is reload?
B. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's opposite. B is to reload and X is to crouch. Which
So, I'm playing on PC, and I know I can change it, but have you guys tried to change it?
No, I didn't try.
I was just curious if it was.
I'm not sure if you can. I'm not sure if you can. I'll have to look back into it because before I play any game, I always like make sure the subtitles are on and look at the controls. And I think it was already preset, and I don't think it was one of those because I mean this is Xbox. I mean what 2004? That wasn't like something that they would have been doing back then like that. It was you'd be cycling through preset stuff, not being able to set it on your own. There's one other. I feel like there was one other, like, thing in the game that was funky. Oh, one of the cool things.
Wheel?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. That's fine. One of the cool things is you don't have a HUD in this game for the most part, which I didn't think about until I was reading something today. It's like the only thing on your display is
Your health.
your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, your ammo count is shown through the gun, or like on the gun, I guess, because it's in the future, so you can see how many bullets you have that way. And I guess because you're not collecting anything per se, like grenades or anything like extra side weapons or anything like that, I thought that's kind of cool. Something that we're taking for granted, being a first-person game. I also thought it was kind of funky that it is a first-person game, just based off of like, you wouldn't expect that first. Like that was my initial thing. I was like, oh, I'm playing a first-person stealth game. Like that's kind of funky, and I thought that was kind of cool. But it ends up not being like a stealth game per se. But I thought that was kind of cool thing that to find out on the tutorial because I went into this game not knowing what to expect. Besides, like, oh, this is like usually regarded as one of the best video games based on a movie.
It's also got a really interesting perspective, like when you go into stealth mode, like you can already kind of see the I don't know, like Marcus, you know, like in like how in perspective, you know, is like things are further away, they get narrower.
Yeah.
And closer up it gets wider.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you're looking at this game, but then when you go into stealth mode, it kind of emphasizes that. Like you're focusing in on what's directly in front of you.
It even does like a pretty cool thing of like there's a little bit of a color change to let you know that you're hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one of the things that I think will be understated is we are saying like the game kind of looks a little like aged in some places. I think the lighting in this game is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lighting in this game, like the way the shadows, like it's really cool. You can see guards doing their walking route. You can see their shadow around the corners. Like, unfortunately, this isn't one of those games where you can shoot out lights and everything like that.
Wait.
There is some sections you can do.
There are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bet. Okay.
And that's kind of my gripe with stealth because I feel like there are some lights that you can and some that you can't. So it kind of throws it off a little bit.
Okay, cool. That's good to know that you can because I tried to for a couple and they were ones that you couldn't, so I just assumed that you couldn't. But yeah, I think the lighting in this game is really cool, and I don't know if this is going along with what Dante said with the texture. But one of the weird things is like, to me, everything looks wet or like damp in this game.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's like the aesthetic of like the movie, but it's kind of like makes the setting a little bit more grimy and gritty, even though I don't know if that's necessarily what they were going for. Did you guys notice that?
I think it's a byproduct of it being like an Unreal Engine. I'm guessing it might have been 3, but it probably was 2 back when it was originally created. And just that engine has a very like slick look to a lot of textures.
Literal.
Yeah, it's like if you look at rocks in games that were made in Unreal Engine 2, light just doesn't reflect off of them quite like you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
So everything ends up looking very moist.
Like it just has a little bit of like Vaseline smeared over it or something.
Not a little bit. It's wet. Yeah. And then like the only other like notable thing, the animations in this game look very harsh. Very harsh. There's like one character that's standout that like we'll talk about them when we talk about them, but I think they do something really good with the animations, but otherwise like it definitely looks like an old game. Even, I mean, would we say Dark Athena came out in 2009? So like we're playing an enhanced version of the original game, and like it's still like I would be interested to see what the difference is and like how the game looks 2004 versus the enhanced remake version. All right. Well, so any other tutorial things?
No, I think we can just move into the. I guess the next section would be that little opening scene.
Yeah. So Riddick wakes up and John escorts him off the ship, and then this is where you meet Hoxie to negotiate. Hoxie, the warden, to negotiate how much he's going to pay Johns, and you kind of see their relationship where it seems like Hoxie is like a real power trip type of warden. And then you meet Abbott, and he's the one that escorts Riddick to his cell.
Was that your second note with exclamation point?
No, because I
Not an X to the Z fan.
X to the Z. Yeah, so Exhibit voices Abbott, and so black dude, black guard working for the prison, and he's like the super corrupt guard where like he's like, I mean, everybody's in prison. This is like a max security prison, and like he's just abusing his power and kind of like lording over the other inmates. And so now that you're in the prison, I think this is when the game I kind of get, if I was apprehensive about what the game was going to be about after that tutorial, this intro prison area like kind of was like, oh cool, like there's a bunch of different inmates you can talk to, they kind of have relationship, and not like that, but like you can kind of see some of their relationship with each other kind of play out, and like, oh, like this person just beat me up, or like these two brothers are like gang running a train on another convict or something, I guess. I don't really know. There's like, you can see some of the power dynamics. Everybody's holding this character, Rust is his name, in high regard, and saying like he's like the boss of this area, and Rust won't like that you're here, or blah blah blah, you need to see Rust, and all that stuff. So you can kind of see some of the history between these characters, and this is where it almost, I won't say open world because you're in a confined space, but you kind of are off to do what you want to do, which I thought was really cool. And I can start to see like, oh, in 2004 this would have been a freaking like novel idea to have, even though it's not necessarily an open world, to have the amount of freedom you have at this section, even though it's like not really freedom.
It's kind of like a hub spot with all the NPCs.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't expecting that either. I was expecting a very linear type game.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to have to back this up, because I'm not going to let this stand. So, immediately after you get your first, like, main thing, and everybody's, like, line changes, oh, you need to do this, oh, you need to do this. How fast did that break your immersion?
To them telling, I mean, because there was different people that wanted you to do different things.
Literally everybody in the prison's like, hey, you need to see such and such. Can't remember the dude's name.
Russ.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some like immersion breaking things in this game.
But I'm not sure what you mean though, because like everybody's saying that because he's the boss, and it's kind of like, yo, like Russ needs to know you're here.
But not everybody should care that you need to see Russ. Like,
I don't
it's
know.
one thing if it's just a couple people saying, "Hey, you probably need to see Russ," but then when like the like grandma at the shop is like, "Hey, I'm glad you bought this item from me. You should probably see Russ." It kind of breaks that feel.
I mean,
You ever been to prison?
Like,
I
Well,
can't
actually-
say I have. Trevor's
Like I think it's more like Riddick's notoriety and the fact that everybody was like, "Oh, you're Riddick. Oh, well, you're gonna have to deal with Rust, or you need to go see Madsen," because it's also the fact that Riddick was going in looking for something. Like, he was looking for a way to get out, and even though he may not have conveyed that in the communication. But that's your objective at that point is how do you get out of here? Who can I talk to get a weapon?
Sure I knew it was my objective.
I mean, I'm actually I see what you're saying, Dante, but I'm more on the line with Trevor because I mean, there's a guy that wants you to like. I mean, there's literally the guy saying those two brothers in there are raping this prisoner, and there's the guy that's like, "Yo, Melina jacked me up. Will you F him up for me when he gets out of, lockdown?" And this other guy's like, "Yo, man, if you want to make it here, you got to get yourself a shiv." And so, like, there's other characters there that are, like, not all about Rust. But, I mean, you're right. There are characters that are pushing you that way. But I think you're overstating how many actually are. I would say, like, half the characters are telling you other flavor texts, and then half are saying, "Yo, go see Rust."
And I think another part of that too is there's no wayfinding in this game. Like there's nothing to tell you to go from point A to point B. So when you're going along this prison corridor, I know it's very linear. Like you can only go in certain directions, but those are kind of like your markers saying, kind of reminding you which way you should be moving towards.
I would agree if they gave you a direction. It's like Russ is that way. Because for the longest time, I didn't know where Russ is.
I was the same way. And I was like, okay, I need to see this dude Rust, and I don't know how to get to him. And so, like, I just started talking to everybody, and I eventually figured out, like, oh, like, he is, like, everybody's making it seem like that's the very next quest you have to do. But there are 2 steps before that. And, like, they didn't really, the game didn't tell you, like, oh, you need to do this, and you need to do this. And then you can see Rust. So, like,
See, now I disagree with you because I feel like they did do a decent job of being like, hey, before you need to see Rush, you need to get a weapon, and you probably need to kill this guy to get a weapon. So I felt like there was a byline of stuff leading.
But I don't think it was like necessarily spelled out in the same way you're saying that it was saying like go see Russ, because you were saying it immediately took out your immersion. But like there was only 2 guys that said, "Yo, if you want to make it here, you need to get a shank," which I don't even think is like necessary to the game. That's necessary to life.
You want to make it here?
No, but the guy literally says like, if you kill X, I'll give you, or I don't think he says if you kill that person, I'll give you a shiv. But he pretty much makes a deal with you, and he's like, hey, if you do this, I'll give you a shiv.
Yeah, like
so you do the thing.
2 people basically are like independently. They're like, "Yo, I want you to kill this person." So you kill him for one guy just because, hey, I'm beating him up on your behalf because he jumped you. But then the other guy's like, "Yo, you killed him? All right, cool. Here's a shank. Like I'm on your side. You're a bad dude."
Yeah, I didn't even know the other dude wanted him dead until I just walked in talking to people just trying to figure out where to find Rust, and he was like, "Oh, hey, thanks for killing that guy." And I was like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
There
was literally 2 people that wanted that Melina guy dead. Which yeah. Yep. I don't know. You end up like you. So basically, we kind of already went over it a little bit. You get to talk to a lot of the different inmates and kind of get their characters fleshed out and everything, and not fleshed out but introduced. And there's a guy that you end up having to kill on behalf of 2 other prisoners. One guy is just really grateful that you did that. The other guy ends up giving you a weapon. And then this fighting that dude, Melina, you end up. This is your introduction to the hand-to-hand combat in this game, and boy, is it rough. I mean, it's the way the game, if I remember correctly, the way the game pins it is so like left trigger is to block, right trigger is to swing, to punch, and they say depending on the direction your character is moving will alter your attack. And I don't know if it means like the strength, the angle, or what. But I don't have a problem fighting one guy at a time. So like fighting this Molina guy, it wasn't a problem. But it's when you're fighting like multiple people that I have a problem, and it just seems like it's just boring. It's not fun. And I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like they're like blocking and blocking and blocking, and then like I can't describe it. Like I never played a game that had hand-to-hand combat that was like pretty much just so boring and uninspiring.
I actually think it's decent for the most part.
Of course you do.
Like, it has depth to it.
You're not serious, are you?
You like button mashers.
You're not serious, are you?
No, I'm dead serious. So the essence of the like combat is you block, you wait for an opening. When you see an opening, you counter. It's a lot like Arkham, in a sense, where you're just kind of watching what your opponent's doing, reacting to it, and just playing like the defensive game. So I guess in actually that regard, it's not like Arkham. There's defense to it. But
Arkham is evasion. This game is defense.
I wouldn't even say Arkham's evasion. It's just
there's
watching the little blip light up above the enemy.
But there's a dedicated counter attack. There's also the basically double jumping or hopping over somebody to like avoid their attack and like reposition yourself on the field. So Arkham is a little bit more positioning than this game is. Also, Arkham is like one of my favorite combats in a video game, and like comparing this to that, they're nothing alike to me.
That's fair. That's fair.
I could not figure out how to do a count. Like every time I tried to do the counter, it's like almost like I'm playing Ninja Gaiden again. Where like every time I tried to do it, it wouldn't like I would.
You have
get
to
hit.
watch the enemy.
I know, and I would hit the button because you hit the block button, right?
No, it's the attack button.
I found that I would end up countering if I double tap the attack button.
Okay.
Like, I didn't even try to block in most cases whenever I got into hand-to-hand combat. I just moved out of the way.
Oh, I would always just block.
Because they also have, I guess, the same type of technique where, depending on which angle they're attacking you at, it does a different type of punch. And so they can actually go around your block the same way you can go around theirs.
So I'm guessing you like the hand-to-hand combat too?
My only gripe about that combat is because in order to do that, it requires you to be able to kind of move fluidly. And sometimes the character will like move to your side, but the controls are really slow, especially if you're blocking. And so in order to turn to look at the enemy and move out of the way, you're kind of using both sticks, but he moves pretty slow. And so I would usually still end up taking a hit even before, because sometimes I would try to, take down enemies without taking any damage, of course. But that was a lot harder because, I don't know, it was just me fighting with the controls, I guess. Me fighting with the speed of the camera.
Gotcha.
So one of the recommendations I read was to not move during combat. Like, if you move, that breaks your combo.
There's
So
combos?
when I stopped, like...
There's combos?
There are combos. See? You just gotta...
Like I said,
stop
like
button.
whenever they attacked me, I just moved out of the way and just waited for an opening.
They just straight
That's
up
definitely
blocked.
the best way to dodge, at least.
Basically, I'd swing on them, they'd block, then I'd block, then I'd swing on them, they'd block. Like, it was literally like we're just punching and blocking.
Oh,
That
it
was
sounds like you played it really boring.
That's what I'm saying though. Like I was just like, yo, this combat is so whack. Like I'm not moving around. I'm just like they come to me and I'll put my arms up, I'll block. Then it's my turn to. It's like we take turns and we block each other's punches. And I was like, this is so stupid. And
I'm sorry, because you know what it reminded me of?
Huh?
The very first Assassin's Creed. Like, it's essentially that's all that was. It's just kind of you just swing for a little bit, counter, swing, counter, swing, counter.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that definitely. It was just I don't know. Like I as far as I know, it's not in a whole lot of this game. Or like a large portion of this game is the hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. And then it seems like the part that we stopped on, it almost turns into like a mini game, like the hand-to-hand combat.
Hopefully, because
it becomes optional. But I don't know. I haven't actually finished the game, so I don't know if there's any more hand-to-hand combat.
I thought when you said mini game, like it would get fun.
Oh, not all mini games are fun. I just meant as far as being optional.
Start putting Mario parties on our list. Is that what we're destined to do?
I mean, it's inevitable.
When you describe mini games as fun, I'm out.
Well, anyways, you take out Melina and you get like a. Actually, you didn't even get a shank. You get a
the knuckle dusters.
Knuckle dusters, which are basically like brass knuckles, and then you ended up meeting with Russ, or I think Russ finds you in your cell, and you guys have like a little showdown, and you guys are about to fight, and then Abbott steps in, and I forgot what he does. Is he like F's up you're the dude that you helped out earlier, and basically kind of show you who's running the cell.
Yeah, and Russ breaks his finger. And somehow blood splatters across the wall.
Yeah.
Hey man, you never know.
Like how hard do you have to break somebody's finger in order to break skin and
yeah. So and then this entire time you're in the prison, they're making references to this other section of the prison called the was it Aquila?
Yeah.
Section?
Yeah.
So you're at this point. That's where Rust and his croonies are. So you that part of the prison opens up to you, and you end up fighting a couple more hand-to-hand guys, guys with hand-to-hand combat, and this is where you get to use a shiv, and it doesn't. For me, anyways, it doesn't really help out in combat, like. Whether you're using knuckle dusters, or just regular ass fists, or a shank, combat still is boring and sucks for me. The counter animations, I guess. I'm guessing it's the counters that when you see them take somebody out with your weapon, right? That means you did a counter?
Yeah, like an animation.
Yeah, so like the takedown animations in this game are pretty brutal, and like just kind of putting myself into 2004, that was probably something that was really cool at the time. Just
this
like
game was this game rated mature?
Go ahead.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. It had to be.
There's blood when somebody breaks somebody's finger.
There's Exhibit, for God's sake.
X to the Z. Yeah. So,
You'll fit.
I knew you were gonna do that. But yeah, so like I think like you stab people, like you stab them in the eyes, you slit throats, like there is some gnarly stuff in here. Cool, but it's it's pretty nasty. And you end up defeating enemies and making your way towards Rust, and you end up fighting Rust, and I guess he's like the first like quote unquote boss or big bad enemy you fight in this game. And so it's another one of those situations. Like for me, it was just back and forth, like attack, block, attack, block, attack, block, and dude I almost died to this dude. And like the only way you can you bloody your enemies when you're doing this hand-to-hand combat, but you don't really have a good idea like if they're taking damage or like how close they are to being defeated, because it's not like they have a life bar or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it like I was like half a pixel, or like I guess the way they divvy up your health is you have a square and it can be half or whole, and I think I was down to my last half square, about to be killed, and I end up killing him, and I'm just like, I completely lucked my way through that because I still don't have a handle on this combat in this game. And did you guys have any issues with Russ, or did he stand out?
I died like 3 times. Like and it was kind of the same thing you're saying. Like, you don't really know how much damage you're doing to him. You don't really have a good idea on like how to counter him, or at least at this point, I didn't have a good idea on how to counter him. I felt like it was just basically I was trying to play it as if like a more refined Punch Out. I'm just blocking and hoping
less refined.
Like, I'm just blocking and hoping that I stop swinging by the time he starts swinging at me, so I can block and then try and hit him again. And that was it, because I just couldn't get a good feel for how to counter or if it even worked properly.
Yeah, same with Greg. I died a few times, and then I stopped trying to rush through it. And every time he did that attack where he spun around, like, I would just back up and then go in for a couple of hits. But that was how it took
all
down.
The nice stuff I said about combat doesn't apply to bosses.
Good, because I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like, did you die on Rust at all?
Yeah, that's when I looked up, like, what is this combat system?
Oh, yeah, okay. So I didn't die on him, but I just, like, I did not feel like I knew what I was doing. I felt like mostly I just got lucky. And, yeah, it was rough. And I was just like, I literally, after I fought him, I was like, we need to get a gun ASAP. Because, like, I was like, I do not want to do any more hand-to-hand combat, because this is not fun. And, luckily or unluckily for that, like, right as soon as you body Russ, a riot begins, and during the confusion, like, there's guards and they're taking people out too. You kind of escape through the prison sewer system.
Well, no, before that, I think on that outline it kind of skipped some stuff. But
my bad.
But yeah, after taking down Rust, you actually go back to your cell block, and that's when everybody's like, "Man, do you know what you've done? Like, you've upset, the whole prison ecosystem." But like Riddick is just like, I'm passing through. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of here, and so he's got to go through the infirmary. And
that's right.
Let me see.
So before that happens, I have a question for you, Trevor. Do any of these characters that you're introduced to appear in the movies?
The only characters so far are Riddick and Johns.
Okay, so endearing characters like Booger did not make their way into the
Whoa, man, that's just his street name. Don't be talking about Bartholomew like that.
No, sadly, it doesn't really focus on any of the prisoners in the other movies. But I thought this was something really cool, because they kind of emphasize more of like the mental illness side of prisoners and not necessarily the criminal side. Because a lot of those guys are tweaking or something, or just like real shady.
Wait, say that again?
Like the prisoners.
Uh-huh.
Like, some of them just seem like they're just mentally ill and not necessarily...
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily like these hardened criminals that belong in a maximum security prison.
Yeah, like there was 2 guys that were like posted up in a hallway where they were just like, they seemed like nice guys. Go out and have, crack a few open with them. Like, but then there was one dude, the one that creeped me out was there was the black dude, no shirt on, just doing push-ups, talking about the guy that was like, "Yo, if you wanna make it, you need to have a shank or a ship or whatever." That dude. But then the dude that was listening to the 2 brothers run train on dude, and like that dude was a black dude, and he just had the most weirdest bug eye like look on his face the entire time. Like he was, I think they were trying to animate that he was either frightened or afraid of the situation or on high alert. But it just, looking at it now, it was like, yo, like he just looks so creepy. But yeah, I actually did forget about the infirmary part, and that's another sequence where you can't pick up one of their guns because that's the DNA encoded. Your gun, or the gun is not encoded.
Nanomachines, son.
Basically. But you do get to pick up a shotgun, and once you get into the sewers, and from here on, you find out you're not alone in the sewers. You start fighting against these like mutant sewer dwellers, which are like these zombie-like humanoid creatures that kind of run at you. And this part was like I've never played the game per se. I've seen it, and I've maybe spent 60 seconds at most playing it.
I know what you're gonna say.
But it's okay. What am I gonna say?
Dead Space.
No.
Oh.
I was gonna say Doom. Like the shotgun and a flashlight, and you were in a narrow corridor, like hallways, and it's basically like, okay, I come to a fork in the road. Do I want to take a left, or do I want to keep going straight? Like that gave me like a Doom, or even like, I wouldn't have thought about it till we were playing it yesterday, but like Left 4 Dead, and like when you're in the sewers, and it's like, oh, like I'm in a narrow corridor. There's an enemy behind me that I can hear, and there's an enemy in front of me, like, and I can take a left here or keep going straight or backtrack. And you don't necessarily know where you need to go, but you just keep getting swarmed by these dwellers. I thought that was kind of, it was interesting, but I ultimately didn't like it because it was kind of meh. Because that's when I realized even the gun combat in this game sucks.
Yep, you're right.
I mean, all the trouble you go through to get the guns, though.
Hey, I expect them to work.
Okay, so, like, after you go through the infirmary and you get to the mainframe and, you know, insert your DNA into the databank and you're able to use weapons finally, like, that's where you get introduced to being able to use... Because I want to say you could pick up a... Could you pick up a pistol? Like before that?
I can't remember.
I don't think
think you could.
I don't think so. 'Cause I think the shotgun is the first gun you find.
Yeah.
Or that you can actually use.
Okay, I thought there was one. But yeah, there was a lot of heavy weapons combat or firearm combat after you upload your DNA into the databank. And, you know, since Marq, as I said, you weren't too enthusiastic about the combat or the, you know, using the weapons, like, how'd you feel about there being this much weapons combat, like, immediately after you get access to weapons?
I was excited, like, the fact that I don't have to do hand in hand, so I don't have to learn it, but it immediately, my excitement was, like, dampened because it was like, okay, I shoot somebody, with a shotgun, you shoot a dweller, it stumbles back. I can shoot it two more times while it's doing the stumble animation, and it doesn't take any damage.
Like
it's not
the dwellers, or just like the guards?
Specifically, I'm talking about the dwellers.
Okay,
but we can talk about the guards too. Okay,
because the dwellers are actually after the mainframe. Because there's one boss that you fight.
Okay, well then, yeah, okay, fine. We can talk about the mainframe part. So I didn't mean to jump ahead.
So before we jump ahead, like, what specifically did you dislike about the gunplay?
It was literally playing Syndicate without slowdown. Remember my complaint about Syndicate and how everybody was a bullet sponge, and then you guys were like, well, if you use slow motion, then that makes your gun
or
more...
if you shoot him in the head.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, I figured, like, once I got a pistol, if you aim directly for the head, like, one shot kills them immediately. But for some reason, it does take, like, half a clip in order to kill them.
The thing is, I don't never have any pistol ammo.
Well, you could use an assault rifle too.
Okay,
And the shotgun
well,
was just like really inaccurate, but if you happen to shoot them in the chest or the head, then they usually went down.
I felt
Like
like
how a shotgun should be used. And you like a shotgun isn't. Yeah, that's why you get right in front of them.
yeah, but the
Boom.
thing is like they just don't go down. Like
I kind of, I mean, I definitely have some of the similar opinions to it as Mark, where like, I don't feel like, I mean, I do think the enemies are kind of bullet spongy, but I also feel like the weapons aren't very accurate at all. Like even sometimes I've had like the reticle on somebody's head and it just doesn't register as a headshot. Don't know why.
Well, what weapons are you guys using?
I mostly use the assault rifle and shotgun. That's probably about it.
I've mostly been using the shotgun, and it took me a little bit to figure. Like I never had any ammo with the pistol, so I didn't really use it. But once I started getting ammo, I found out that if you headshot somebody with the pistol, that's fine, and it takes them out. But the issue is I usually have them move around so much, and I'm kind of in the same boat as Trevor as far as moving in this game and kind of tracking people. I have another complaint where when you get into combat, you'll be fighting somebody. You're in a hallway going into a room, and this may be getting a little ahead, but you are shooting two people, and next thing you know, there's somebody behind you shooting. It's like you just you cleared out the room, and then characters or guards come from behind, like they spawn behind you almost. So it's like constantly forcing you to move forward. So I don't necessarily have the time to like line up pistol headshots and everything. Plus, and it's cool. People are getting behind cover and everything. I've been using the lean function, I guess you could say.
It's real fidgety.
But yeah, it's real fidgety. So like sometimes like I get into in my head, you have to crouch and then you can hit this button so then that way your character doesn't move. Then you can hit the joystick in order to lean left or right around a corner. So I've been trying to use that, but like it doesn't always seem to work. Like as soon as you hit the button to like plant yourself, sometimes it seems like you can take another step before you get planted. So like I plant myself, like I'm trying to plant myself at the corner and then peek over, but sometimes it moves me into the hallway and then I'm peeking while I'm standing in the hallway. I want to like this game. I really do. But the combat is so like,
I thought I was going to be the only person not feeling this game.
like even like there's times where I walk into a room, because this is leading up near the end. I walk into a room, and there's three guards on the second floor. Like there's a staircase along the back wall so they can get up to a second floor. So they're on the second floor of in this room. So I'm shooting up at them, they're shooting down at me. So the only thing that they're behind is a rail. And I feel like all my bullets are just hitting the rail, even though it's literally on the top half of their body. And I'm like, are my bullets dropping? Like, is there fall off in this game? Or like, is this rail a lot bigger than it visually appears? Like, I'm not like, why am I wasting a full clip with my assault rifle to kill one guy? I don't understand. And
I don't know.
I kind of had that same issue.
I don't have that problem.
Well, I had that same issue at some points, but then in the specific part that you're talking about, like, I realized after banging my head against that section that I didn't need to kill anybody. That this is a stealth game. And so that was kind of how I took the combat as well. And so I tried not to initiate firearm combat.
I'm constantly running and gunning my way through, living on a prayer with one square of life till I get to the next health point. It's like,
I think
that's my experience with this game.
I would be doing more stealth if I felt like there was better ways to actually like stealthily take out enemies. I just don't feel like either one. Maybe it could just be me feeling like, oh, this is going to take way longer if I try and kill everybody by stealth. I could just brute force it and get this over with.
With that gameplay, that strategy, how did y'all take down the mech boss, the mech suit boss?
Oh, so I had to figure. I died there a bunch because at first I was just trying to just throw bullets at him basically and just see if he would die, and that didn't work. And I figured out I was like, there's got to be something about this. So, I think eventually I came to like, okay, well I'll just hide and see if I can shoot him from behind and see if maybe that works, and then that's what it was.
So the way that's laid out is, I also died a bunch of times trying to throw bullets at him, and I didn't like. I don't think the game does a good job of specifically on that boss, but this is a thing throughout the game where I just don't know if I'm doing damage on somebody. Like hand-to-hand combat, you could visually see them getting, beat up or whatever. You could see like blood and bloodied and bruised and everything like that. But when it comes to gunplay, like unless they kind of like visually stumble or like do an animation, like there isn't a really telltale sign that somebody is taking damage. And it was specifically with this mech suit guy. So like the first time I tried to brute force him and just try to outgun him, and it wasn't working. So then I figured out a way to get on the top part so I'd have the height advantage on him. And I was just shooting at him, and I used all my ammo, and he didn't go down. So I was like, okay, what gives? And I ended up having to look it up online, just to figure out where his weak point was, because I couldn't figure out like I the first time I got up to the top, I used all my ammo and he didn't die. I was like, okay, he must have a weak point somewhere. And so like I couldn't figure out how to get him to turn his back on me once he knew where I was at. So it was like him constantly like trying to reposition himself to get a shot at me, and I couldn't figure out how to like get him to like turn around or anything. And even when I jumped down, as soon as I jumped down, like he's on me again, and like I was trying to lead him away so I could climb back up and shoot him while he's looking for me, but I always died before I could do that. So I think I maybe died like 8 or 9 times with this guy till I was like, okay, I'm just gonna jump up there. I'm gonna like wait the 3 minutes for him to do his walk thing, so he's like right underneath me, and I'm just gonna unload on him. And like that's when I ended up taking him out.
See, that's the part of this game that kind of takes me out of my comfort zone, and the reason why it's been, it took me this long to play this game because of the stealth mechanic of it. But I realized after running through like all the enemies trying to use firearms that this is a stealth game. So let me try to utilize cover as much as possible. And that actually seems to be helping, because the first thing I noticed was if you aren't in cover, enemies will take you down really quickly. Like, they are super accurate.
Yes.
And especially the mech boss, like as soon as you come outside of cover and he sees you, like you said, he's on you. And he's pretty quick too, so if you're in the crouching position, you can't run. You have to come out of the crouching position and try to move to the next cover. But, if he sees you moving to the cover, it's already too late. And so I pretty much just started taking the stealth approach to it, because I think when you shoot the mech enemy in the back, he stumbles for a second.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of get a few shots on him, and then before he comes back, you can move to the next cover, and then he'll walk over to wherever you were and check it out, and then start patrolling again, and you just rinse and repeat. But that's kind of the strategy I've been taking since being able to use weapons now.
Well, I've definitely been using cover, but like I said, like the main issue I've been having is like the guys are really accurate, like you said. They're really quick too, so like they will rush your cover, or like there's a lot of times where if I'm fighting 2 guys in a room, it always happens where somebody comes up behind me, like, and that kind of jacks me up real quick. So like I will kill that guy and turn around the corner, and then those guys are like standing right there, and it's like, like they ran up on me like so quick, And so that happened a lot where they were pushing my position, which I think the AI in this game it's I won't say smart, but I like how aggressive they are. But it is very frustrating when I'm like, okay, I cleared up this room, and then I'm like, all right, I'm on to the next area, and the next thing I know, I'm taking damage from behind. I'm like, where did you come from? Like, so like, yeah, I'm always low on health, and I am using cover, but it's just I'm always getting snuck up on.
Yeah, I think it's traditional cover-based third person. Well, this one's not third person, but it's a cover-based shooter.
Yeah, I don't think it's stealth. It's for me, it's a third-person cover or first-person cover.
Yeah, if it was stealth, they would have to offer a lot more options in regards to stealth, in my opinion.
Like you're talking about playing stealth, and like literally every room I go into, or when I'm in a hallway, somebody says, "I think I heard something. I'm gonna go check it out." And like, so I don't even have the opportunity because they're literally like walking towards me at that point. So it's like, okay, like I'm gonna have to run and gun my way through here because the moment I take that guy down, unless unless I wait for him to walk all the way down the hallway, the L-shaped hallway, and then turn around, put his back to me so I can self-take him out. But like, just like that's literally like the dialogue line that I see every time I go into a new room. It's like, I think I heard something. What was that? Or something like that, you know? So maybe I need to go into the hallways crouching, but also like there's no shadows in the hallway. So I guess maybe those are the times that I need to see if I can shoot out the lights in the hallways or something like that. Like it's like if it wasn't for the combat, I would like this game more. Like it's the only thing holding me back from liking this game.
Like,
Not
I think
the only
there's a
thing,
lot of things
but the main
cool
thing
about it,
yeah.
but it's just the combat, man. It's just the playing the game part is the part that's not enjoyable.
See, I'm the inverse. I enjoy most of the gameplay stuff, but then like all the story stuff is trash.
I'm not saying the story is cool. I'm saying the game, like the non-combat stuff, is interesting to me. I
get that. I'm just saying the reverse.
Oh, I'm not saying this. I mean, I'm whatever on the story. Like, I'm just progressing the story because I'm playing the parts in between. Like the part where getting your DNA in the databank and all that was fine. It's just the literal like having to shoot somebody. Yes, the concept of getting my revenge on Abbott sounds cool. The part where I'm actually fighting Abbott, nah. The part where I'm fighting Russ, nah. But leading up to meeting him, yes.
It's growing on me. And like I said, I don't have experience with too many stealth games. So, and I know y'all said crazy, there's not a
stealth game like Metal Gear, bro.
Trevor's like, I don't normally like stealth games, and we're like, bro, it's not.
I'm gonna reach through my TV.
Like, when I say that, I mean more so like in games. If you give me a gun, I'm running towards the target, and unless I start losing health at a pretty quick rate, I'm not getting behind any cover. That's how I play most shooters.
See, and that's the thing, is like I use cover in every shooter. Like there's not a shooter that I don't use cover.
It's always to your advantage.
Exactly.
Well, I play Destiny, so.
But I mean, like even in Halo, like I always use cover in Halo as well. And like, it's never you're never putting yourself, you're never hurting yourself by being behind cover. Like being a smaller target is never like a bad thing. So like
even in Destiny, I will hide behind some rocks.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
So like it's boggling to me that like I know it's like it's almost, and I don't want to disparage the game, but like it's almost like calling Brothers a puzzle game. It's like puzzle inspired.
Preach.
If this game is like stealth inspired, like you have the ability to do stealth, and I'm not trying to say that you can't do it, but like that's not how stealth games work.
Like, so there's no distinction between like say Wolfenstein, for instance. You can play it two distinctly different ways.
Like I'm thinking of like you can run and gun your way through like Splinter Cell. That's the stealth game that I know. Like, I'm assuming that's the same way in Metal Gear, right, Dante?
Whoa! You said you can run and gun through Splinter Cell?
Yeah. If you get
which one?
You can run and gun through Metal Gear.
If you get, I'm like Chaos Theory, or like if you got caught, like the mission isn't like necessarily like everybody's on you. You can still like complete some missions.
I think the only two true stealth games at this point are, and I actually haven't played either of them. Or actually, no, I played one of them. I played Hitman, which you have to use stealth in Hitman to some extent.
Yeah.
And then there's Thief. And I think those are the two pure stealth franchises where you don't have the option of going run and gun.
I always just like, for me, it like I just think of like James Bond or like the stealth, like the espionage movies. It's like even if you get caught, you still have a opportunity to complete the mission by running and gunning. And like in this game, it's like, okay, yeah, you can drag a body into the shadows and you can stealth take somebody down so nobody can hear you, but like I have not got to a part where I figured out like how to do like like every situation I've gone into is not like, okay, you messed up, now they're shooting at you. From the jump they're shooting at me. Like I don't know how you even get it. Like, how do I flip the switch to go back into I want to play the stealth game? How do I flip the switch?
Yeah, I just don't think most of us are going to agree on it being a stealth game.
Okay.
At least for the first half. Maybe they give you some tools. There's a lot of things in that weapon wheel that we've yet to get. But right now...
Okay, well...
There's one part. There's
the next part after you kill the mech suit enemy. Like, that's where the riot starts happening.
Yeah.
Would y'all consider that the stealth part where basically the majority of the area is in shadow?
Yeah, I would say that kind of aids in it.
That's almost like a linear stealth part, if I recall right. Like, is that the one where you go outside and it's like, oh, I need to get the keypad access for this guy?
So this is like an L shape. So like you go, there's a health point at the top of the stairs. You have to turn this valve to open up this gate, and then you go down the stairs, and then there's straight ahead of you, there's two enemies and a wall-mounted turret gun. And
this is the part with the stupid turret.
Exactly. And like I don't understand how that's stealth part, because as soon as I got down into that hallway, I immediately got lit up. Immediately. And like it took me I don't know if it's the graphics in this game. I don't know what it is. I did not.
Was it really dark?
It was really dark, and I didn't know there was wall-mounted turrets. I killed the two
I was
bad
dying to
guys.
those.
I killed the two bad guys, and I'm like, I'm getting shot. Okay, let me turn around the corner. There's no enemies. What am I getting shot by? And then I'm dead.
This is the first game where I had to go to like my PC settings, being like, is something wrong? Am I not?
And I was like, what am I getting hit by? And like I died I died 5 times, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put the game down for now. Like I don't want to play anymore. And then I came back and later, and I played it for about 10 more minutes, and I was like, no, I don't know what's going on. What am I getting shot by? And then I turned it off, and then like 3 days later, I was like, I'm going to play some more.
I think I died at each of the turrets, and that's how I found out where they were located.
Exactly. And like, but like for me, it was like, as soon as I got down there, they started lighting me up. So how was that stealth? Like, I had to shoot them. It wasn't like sneaking around them, or like I
don't think that was an option, because they definitely saw you in the shadows.
Exactly. So like it was like completely shadow like down there, but like I did not feel like I could sneak around down there. I immediately got lit up.
Well, I would say I hope there are no more turrets like in the rest of this game, but I am not 100% confident that'll be true.
Oh, I'm not confident in that either.
Yeah. Because there was one in a cutscene, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, because I literally, I was like, I went to the walkthrough and I was like, what, like, I just read it and I was like, oh, there's wall-mounted turrets. That's what I'm getting shot by. And then I died like 5 or 6 more times trying to figure out where they were at. Like you said, I died to every single wall turret after that.
So
yeah.
Greg, you have anything to say about these turrets?
No, it was the same thing Mark was saying. Like, I died to them at least six or seven times, and it took me. Then I had to figure out where exactly. It was just a trial and error thing of like, okay, well, I killed these enemies. I went back, I lost all this health. Let me go back to here and get my health back, and then the game will save there. And then me going through the trial and error of like, okay, there's a turret here. I need to get rid of this one. There's a turret here. I need to get rid of that one. Oh, I walked a few steps. There's an enemy right in front of this doorway. You know, it was just like me just dying a bunch of times and just trying to figure out the right process of taking everything out.
Speaking of health, I want to talk about these nano machines.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's not in the films where he basically gets, I don't know, it's like an EpiPen type injection that heals him.
You saying Martin Shkreli's running this?
Say what?
I said Martin Shkreli's running this prison.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, wow.
Farmer Bro.
Yeah.
Farmer Bro?
Never mind.
The dude that bought the here, Trevor. This is what you know. The dude that bought the really expensive Wu-Tang album.
Yeah.
Oh, man!
I thought that was a really good take.
That's the only thing I know him from.
Wow.
Huh. But yeah, there's no like reference to that in any of the movies. I'm not sure why you have to I don't know, just stand there and take these shots to the neck. But did y'all get to the point where you actually add on a health bar?
Yeah.
Like when you're in the chair?
Mhm.
That part was like really ridiculous.
Wait, what? The chair does that?
Yeah. Like
yeah.
There was a health part right before it, so I didn't bother with
well,
the
no,
chair.
it's not.
Wow.
It doesn't heal you. It gives you a health bar. Like it increases your health.
But I was saying I was fully healed, and I saw
Oh,
like,
so you didn't
it
use
was a
it?
healing thing.
Yeah. I just saw that one was different, so I was like, let me try this one out and see where it injects me. Maybe this one's goes in the other end. But
Goes in the other end.
it's like, why do I need to sit down for this? Like the other ones, I can just stand up and turn my neck towards it, and it gives me a quick shot. But
I thought it looks cool, man. But it's also like I wanted to ask you if that was in the game or in the movie.
no, I don't remember any reference to that.
As funny as it is, that's like the one thing I remember from the Game Informer
Yep.
article. It's like Riddick has to take these shots through the neck, and that's how he restores his health. Because that's cool.
Hardcore.
I'm pretty sure they were proud of putting that in the game.
Yeah, they were. Like I said, man, they got some brutal stuff in this game.
Out of morbid curiosity, how many health squares do you guys have?
Just one more.
Yeah.
So what do you have? You
Yeah.
have 4.
I think
Then
so.
we have 5. Well, I have 5.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
come across any others.
Okay.
So like, I was gonna say the health thing. Like when you get healed, Dante, and then do you ever go back to that same heal thing to heal up again?
I think I tried that once and it didn't let me.
Okay, so like for me, when I get healed, I can go back and get one more square of health. So like I can go from no bars to full 5, and then I can go back if I'm at 1 and I can get one more.
Wait,
Part of me's starting to think that I actually did use that thing. Cause
I thought
I'd like to say I do have 5.
it only had
but-
4. It only healed you 4 times for 4 bars.
Oh, then maybe I
Yeah.
went from 2 to 5, and then
Because once you use all 4 of them, it turns red, and you can't use it anymore.
Okay.
What do you guys think about the stealth? Or,
What stealth?
Not the stealth, but the health mechanic in general.
I guess it's fine.
Like not recharging, or I guess partially recharging.
Yeah. I guess it's fine.
It's a product
Like,
of its time.
Yeah, I think that's probably the good way to put it.
Like, I didn't know until, like, later that you actually lose health in increments. Like, depending on like how you take damage. Because
You mean
like it doesn't take away like a full bar.
Oh yeah.
And I wish they were a little bit larger so you could see that. Because I didn't know that at first. I thought, you take 5 hits and you're done.
Nah, it's like each bar has each box has its own percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So like gunfire will do like 80% of a bar, or something like that.
And as long as you don't completely lose that bar, you can gain it
Yeah.
back.
I don't know. Like I don't really know what to say. Like I like rechargeable life, but also I'm not gonna knock this game for not having that, because I mean this was like before Halo 2, so
Well, Halo 1 had rechargeable.
no, it had rechargeable shields.
It had the shield.
But then you had the health packs.
Yeah.
Well, without, I guess, turning back the curtain too much, one of the first-person shooters we have in our lineup doesn't have recharging health. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
I did not know that. That's okay. All right. Well, okay, no, we're not, because I have another comment I wanted to say about that, but yeah. So this game has like dedicated, like you have to go to this med station, I guess you say, to heal up. So they're spread out in, I feel like, fair enough distance from each other. There are sometimes, depending on if it's a more combat focused section, where I have to backtrack and just top off my health. But I for the most part, I literally am going like every time I get to a health station, I have to heal up, because I'm down to like 1 or 2 blocks. So like I'm hurting every time I get to a health station.
Yeah, I think they're pretty frequent. Like after every couple of encounters, you have a station.
Are you guys having that same experience, or are you guys like not necessarily interacting with them that much?
No, I mean it's about the same for me.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm not trash.
I mean you are, but that's fine.
All right, so after were you about to?
Yeah, I was about to pick. Okay, yeah. So after the riot, you end up looting a radio transmitter off one of the enemy guards, and you basically trick them into letting you out of the cell block. And then basically you get exposed or found out in a cutscene, and a guard. I think you end up getting shot at by some guards, and you run and basically jump and push this guard into this big pit that's in the middle of the prison for some reason. And you basically use the guard to cushion your fall into this pit. And it kills him, and now you're in a...
Do you remember that stupid one-liner he said?
Was it something like, it's not the fall that kills you or something like that?
Oh yeah, I'm going to look it up.
That is classic Riddick. Like those...
Classic Riddick, guys.
Those are the lines you can expect watching the movies. Like, Riddick always has these inner monologues, like, especially, like, the beginning of the films. Because, like, some of the stuff he says is... I don't know how I got, or I don't know how many times I've been crossed off and left for dead, and I've got to get back to the animal side, and it's just like, man, his dialogue is just so epic.
I think I got this. It's not the fall that gets you; it's the sudden stop.
and that is why at the beginning of the podcast.
Trevor, did you just get a boner when I said that?
He already had one talking about how epic his dialogues are.
So at the beginning of the podcast, when I said, "I'll kill you with my teacup," that is probably one of the most famous Riddick lines. Or I say famous, but as famous as this film franchise can be. But yeah, he literally kills somebody with a teacup. And it's just like
he has
those kind of lines that define him.
His lines, man, he has like a med station takes away the hurt, leaves the pain.
Just the way I like it.
Trying to get under my skin, Reddit? It'll be easier if I had something sharp.
Like in the most recent movie,
It's like if a dad became a serial killer, like the king of dad jokes became a serial killer. That is
The
Riddick.
dark. Are you afraid? I'm not. The dark is afraid of me.
and I don't know what it is. Like the most recent movie, which is just titled Riddick. I think it came out in 2013 or 2014. It has a lot more sexual innuendos.
Oh yeah, we in there.
So imagine like those one-liners, and it just like be alluding to like sex.
Okay, I'm in. You sold me on the movie.
And
now.
then even in the films, not only does Riddick have some of these one-liners, but other characters have them
shank.
as well.
2 lungs.
Like other characters get some of these quips and one-liners too. And you know, they're of course tailored to their character. But yeah, man, y'all gotta watch these movies.
We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe I might.
But
Wow, he's
How's the comment in
It's
the
like,
movies?
it's more stealth.
Oh, okay, good.
But we're at your favorite part of this game now, Marcus. The pit.
Okay, yeah. So this is I jumped ahead. I jumped way ahead. This is the part where I was talking about where you have the shotgun and a flashlight, and your flashlight is failing, and you're in the pit, and this is where you fight those zombie-like creatures, humanoid creatures, and like I said, this gave me a very Doom sequence vibe. It was and I'd already been using the guns at this point, so like it was like, oh, cool. Like at this point, you only have the shotgun. You don't even have any of the other guns. And this is where I was just like, okay, like I'll shoot somebody, and if they explode, they die. But if they don't explode, they stagger back, and it doesn't matter if I shoot them again while they're in that stagger animation. They won't take any damage. So I can only shoot them, stagger them, let them stand back up, and then run at me and again to kill them. And like that was pretty corny.
See, I didn't.
And like,
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you. Go
I
ahead.
didn't have that same problem as far as killing the enemies, but the problem I had was it seemed like this shotgun was a lot more accurate than the other shotgun that you've been using through the game, because sometimes the enemy will be right there in front of me, but my shotgun shot would miss.
I think that's the game.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've had that same experience with all the guns, so sounds like we had the same experience, bro.
It seemed like it didn't have as much spread as the other shotgun.
I think it was just you were in a more narrow spot or something. It may have been a different shotgun, but I just felt like this combat was a lot more CQC. You know, you're like up close and personal. So like it just felt like the enemy was taking a lot more of the buckshots, I guess you could say.
I just disagree with the notion that the enemies in this game take more bullets than like most other first person and third person games. I feel like you take a lot less damage, and maybe that exacerbates the point. But like as far as like shooting an enemy and getting them to go down, I don't feel like I'm using like an excessive amount of bullets.
It wasn't as bad as Syndicate to me.
It's on par.
Yeah, see,
it's on par with me, for me. And like I said, like once I figured out, or once you guys told me, oh, you need to use slow motion, that fixed that problem in Syndicate. I don't have slow motion in this game. As far as I know.
But you do have the shadows.
The shadows are afraid of me.
But yeah, for me, all the dwellers were one shot, one kill. It was just when I missed, like they didn't stumble backwards or anything. It was just like it seemed like
kept running?
yeah, it went through them.
I don't know. But you eventually make your way out and you meet Pope Joe, who's like this. Is he like in hiding? He's like a prisoner that kind of is in like the. He's still in prison, but he's like living a free life.
He's just chilling down there.
Yeah, like I don't really know his story. He seemed like a cool character, and he was the character to me, like the only character in this game that had like good animation. Like his walk animation.
Oh yeah,
his walk
it's
animation.
like Pigeon Toad.
Yeah, like so he's like a bigger dude, like chunkier, fat, thick with 2 C's, like that. And so he's walking, and like he's almost leading with his stomach, and it like his walk animation kind of like shows his girth. There's a heft to it, I guess you could say. And so like my dude is, like Trevor said, is walking pigeon toed, leading with his stomach, and it looked like something you would see in a game nowadays. And like I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is, you don't see this in games, or you don't see that in characters like him in games, I guess you could say. So I appreciated that they animated it the way they did, because I was like, oh, all right, that's cool. But like so far, he's been the only character that had like a not stiff animation to me. But I just thought it was cool, and I actually like his character too. He ends up helping you out a little bit, and sends you out to find his blessed voice box, which you end up having to go through back into the sewers and deal with those dwellers again. And this part is probably it was probably my favorite part in the game so far. You snag a bunch of flares from him, so you're in this tunnel and your flashlight doesn't work, so you have flares that you can kind of throw down the hallway, and then you can switch over to your shotgun because you're still getting attacked by guys. So it kind of like throw a flare, run to the flare with your shotgun out, taking enemies out. Throw a flare, run to the flare. It's rinse and repeat, and it's relatively short enough sequence. What did you guys think about this part?
I was on the verge of getting frustrated.
Huh? Okay.
Why? It was only because I felt like I was just wasting flares because I couldn't really tell where I was going. I would throw a flare at a wall in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, I was like, I was kind of wishing there was some way that you could walk with the flare, then drop it rather than throw it.
Yeah, but
wouldn't it have been nice if you had a flare button instead of having like all of your weapons assigned to the same wheel?
Yeah.
That the flare was.
Yeah, that kind of sucked. That did suck. I kept getting stuck when I was trying to cycle between going from a flare back to my shotgun, getting attacked by enemies, and I don't switch over my shotgun, so I gotta pull up the weapon wheel again. That kept happening for me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the shotgun have a flashlight attachment?
It does, but I believe at this point it's still like malfunctioning because it was messing up before you when you originally made it down there the first time.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, like for me, I got to the talk box, or his talk box ends up being like a boombox.
Yeah.
And so I got to that no problem. It was on the way back. Like there's a room that's square shaped, and I thought I threw a flare and I got down the hall, but I missed, and it kind of threw me off. And I was running out of flares at that point, and like a little bit of a panic set in. But it was like, oh, this is how it should be. It's like it where it's like, oh, I just got to go back the way I came, and then I kind of get off, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm off the route. I'm turned around. Which way do I go? And like a panic sets in, and I really liked having that feeling where it was like going in was smooth sailing, but then there was a slight hitch on the way back, and now like I gotta figure out.
To be fair, like the thing that surprised me most about this section was how like when you get that objective, you expect it to be your objective for a while. But it's literally 1 minute worth of, less than even a minute, it's probably about 30 seconds worth of running to get to the thing, and then 30 seconds to get back. So I was just kind of surprised how fast it all went. I think I only used one flare, maybe two.
Yeah.
Maybe it was different on the PC version, I don't know.
There was a point where like Marcus said, I was on my way back, and I ended up running out of flares. And at that point, I had killed all the enemies, so there was nothing attacking me. But because I ran out of flares, I couldn't see where I was going at all.
Yeah.
So I just had to restart from the last checkpoint.
So I had 2 left when I finished, but I didn't want to throw them just in case. I didn't want to waste them because I wasn't sure like what would happen if I did. Where am I at now? So yeah, so after you bring back Papa Joe, his voice box, he basically performs surgery on you to
well,
you go into this.
About to say
this
is one of the confusing parts if you watch the movies, because you're expecting one thing to happen, but it's actually been kind of retconned. So Pope Joe was basically fixing your arm, and immediately after, or like after he finishes fixing your arm, you see one of those visions that you had at the beginning of the game when you're in that cutscene, where Shira starts talking to you, and she tells you you've been walking blind this whole time, and she unlocks an ability that you already have within you. That's, like I was telling y'all earlier, Riddick is what's called an Alpha Furion, where he has like these abilities that makes him better than the other Furions, and that's one of his abilities is to see in the dark. But at that point, Shira actually unlocks it for him, and Riddick confuses that with what Pope Joe did by fixing his arm, and he thinks Pope Joe gave him this eyesight to allow him to see in the dark. Now, in both of the Riddick films, or the first 2 films, Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick, there's another character named Jack, who's in Pitch Black. She's pretty much trying to be like Riddick, and she asks him, how do I get eyes like that? And he tells her, well, first you gotta kill a lot of people, and then you gotta get sent to a max security prison, and then you gotta find a guy who will do a surgical eye shine for 20 menthol cools. And like that's actually touched on. Like there's a motion comic that takes place before Pitch Black, where he's at Slam City, and that actually happens where there's a surgeon in the prison who gives Riddick his eyesight because some of the other guards in the prison have that same eyesight. And so I think in that comic, in the motion comic, they made it so that other people have the eye shine, and it's not something that's necessarily distinct to Furions or Alpha Furions. But then later on in the movies, he kind of confuses that, or I guess they retcon that. Yeah, it's one of those things like in Star Wars when they say who shot first. People still think, Riddick actually did get this eye shine from, like, if you've only watched the movies, of course, people think he did get his eye shine from some surgeon in a prison somewhere for 20 menthol cools. But yeah, here it proves that the ability was actually unlocked by Shira. Just some trivia. Since I've seen that you finished your drink.
Nerd. Yeah, so at this point you can go through the dark tunnels, but you actually have this eye shine, so you get to actually see in the dark now, and it's a cool little view, I guess you could say. I actually like how it looks.
Does this make the game more stealth?
It helps a little bit, but the problems are still there.
Because I was going to say, so you go through the dark tunnels, and then you emerge in the showers of the guard living quarters. And to me, this is the stealth part of the game. However, there are 2 ways you can go through this. So there's you're in the showers of the guard living quarters, and I think you can take out one guy pretty quickly, stealthily, to sneak up on him, crack his neck. But then there's these 2 or 3 guards, like, kind of patrolling the locker room area. And every time I went in there, I ended up getting spotted. Like, this is one of the times where you can flip the lights on or off. Here, there's, like, an actual switch so you can do that. So I was, like, successfully sneaking around. But as soon as I got spotted, it was a wrap as far as sneaking around. And so I found out later, I went through this part just as I was. I didn't know that you could find a guard uniform to blend in.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, so this game kind of branches off. You can open up those locker doors.
The lockers?
And you could find a guard's uniform and put on a new uniform to blend in with the guards.
I thought you had to do that.
Did you?
Hold on. I completely
That's what
missed
I'm like.
Yeah, some stealth. I mean, wait.
So
Yeah.
so none of y'all had the guard clothes?
No.
Oh,
No.
dang! Y'all didn't open the lockers?
I opened one.
No, why would I do
You
that?
couldn't interact with anything else in the game. Why would I?
Actually, to take that back, Dante, you can definitely flush a toilet and turn on the sink.
Oh, you got me.
Like, I was looking for money throughout the whole game. Money and cigarettes.
Money for what?
I don't know. It seemed important at the time.
There's money in this
You
game?
know how this guy
Yeah,
plays
the
Assassin's
UD.
Creed? He found all those
What is
dubs.
UD?
I don't know.
Well, there's money in this game?
There's a form of
I only knew
currency
the
in this game.
cigarettes. I only knew the
And
cigarettes.
the cigarettes, which I think are more of like a collectible.
Yeah.
You definitely
You
get
money
$5.
for helping that first dude.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, I opened up I opened up a locker door because I thought it was like to be cover. I thought because so the way they had it set up was there was 2 guys walking around the locker room, and then there was one guy at the back of the room, outside of the room with a flashlight, and he was like shining light, like just scanning the area. And I thought you were supposed to use the locker doors as cover. So I ran to the very first one that you could open, and I hid behind it. And then as soon as I peeked out, I got spotted. And so they started shooting at me. So I just assumed it was mostly just for cover and not like you could actually like look inside of them. I didn't expect things to be inside of them. So that was my excuse for not opening any more up after, because I didn't know you could put on a uniform. And I guess these guys just didn't open up the locker doors at all. So like you guys ran and quote unquote run and gunned your way through that section then? Or did you guys stealth your way through?
I stealthed it for a little bit, and then I think after you take out a couple of the guys, or when I took out a couple of guys, I ended up getting caught and just gunned it out then.
What about you, Dante?
Yep. So when you flip the original switch or the switch closest to you, it triggers a guard to open the door, like right
To
next
come
to
out
you.
the
It's
bathroom.
just like a janitor. Yeah. And like you have no time to react, so you literally just have to like back up immediately, wait for him to do his thing. I'd kill him stealthily. And then so the thing that this game does, or I guess it doesn't do, that a lot of other stealth games do a decent job of, is kind of giving you a vision cone for your enemies. Because there's this guy up on a guardrail, and he has this flashlight pointed at the general room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the light source is so big, you feel like you can't really step anywhere without being seen. So I just never felt comfortable trying to stealth just because his radius allegedly was so big based off of this flashlight he was using. Like, I didn't want to risk going into that radius, so I just shot before I even got close.
Okay, so you didn't get discovered, but you initiated.
Pretty much.
Okay, I got you. Yeah,
After I died.
I always got seen, so then I just had to run and gun my way through. So Trevor, you stealth your way through that?
Yeah, the shower scene, or shower area. You know, I turned off the lights, took out the guards one by one, went through all the lockers. There's money in like 4 or 5 of the lockers, and then there's also an assault rifle in there. And then I found the guard clothes, put them on, and you can basically just kind of mosey around the guard area. You can talk to some of the guards. I mean, there's 2 guards in there that are, they have somebody trapped in the elevator. It's like they put a box in the elevator door so that the guy couldn't get out of it or something like that. But yeah, they're just living their lives.
Oh, well.
But there is a point in the game, or a point in this sequence, where you have to scan your retinas, the retina scanner.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get out of the spaceport. If you do that, and there are still guards around, it'll set off an alarm, and they will all turn on you. So
okay,
even
it's almost like yourself.
Well, actually, like even if you do put on the guard clothes, you can stealthily take down all the enemies and then go and do that. And that way, once the alarm goes off, there won't be anybody to attack you.
Really?
Yeah.
So I took everybody out. I went to the retina scanner, and then the alarm went off. And then I went back into the room that I was in before, and a guy had spawned in there. So, like, the room that you're supposed to go through to progress, I had went in there before I went to the retina scanner just to check it out to see if there was anything in there, and I couldn't go any further, but there was a bad guy in there, and I killed him. And then I went back to the retina scanner, interacted with that, and then the alarm went off, so I went back into the room because I assumed that spot that was blocking me off was now open so I could progress. And I ran in there thinking, okay, I'm just going to go through that next part. And then there was a guy in there. So maybe he popped in from the other side of the door or something. But, like, dude definitely just was there. And that threw me off. But also I wasn't wearing a uniform, so maybe that's for the noobs like me, not the pro guards like you.
I thought that was just a part of the game.
Nope. But I think that's cool, though. I think that's not something that people, as far as I remember, like, that's something that was, like, maybe one of the reasons why this game was highly regarded when, you know, like, hey, like, you can have two different playthroughs just at that one particular part where you can, like, do it as a guard or you can do it as a convict, and that's kind of cool. So I think that was I honestly am surprised that you were the only person that did it as a guard, but I'm glad like somebody did it as a guard. But yeah, I think you ended up still going through the living quarters, and you're basically trying to get you decide like, oh, I'm going to go take down Abbott and use his eyes for the retina scanner. And so you end up finding his apartment or his place he's staying.
Before you get to that, did y'all get the heavy guard armor?
No.
What? Oh my god! I feel like we're playing two different games. Before you get to Abbott,
we already knew that Trevor's sneaking around and finding money,
like
enjoying the guns, enjoying the combat.
Open up.
So did y'all get the what is it called?
Bro, I've barely gotten anything in this game.
There's a tool that opens up the ventilation hatches.
Yeah.
Did y'all get that?
No.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I got it.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're at the retina scanner, if you turn around, there's like a little railing that you can jump over. Like, it's pitch black.
Oh, so I got stuck down there. Speaking of that,
if you go over there to the right, there's a hatch. If you picked up that tool from earlier, you can open the hatch, drop down into it, and it leads into like a locked room. And in that room, there's a bunch of assault rifles, a pack of cigarettes, but there's also guard armor to make you look like the heavy guards. And you wear that one, and you go into the next area so that they don't recognize you.
Yeah, I jumped down that area, and I was like, oh, okay, I can't open this, huh? And then I couldn't get back up.
You can get back up. It's just like a very specific region of that area you have to jump.
I kept jumping, and I was like, bruh, it's not
because it got me for a while, too.
It's not letting me jump up on this.
Well, I didn't do that at all.
At it.
Man.
Is this how you feel, Dante, when we were talking about...
Is this like... Is this some like DLC that comes with watching the movie or something? Do they give you like a season pass? Just be like, hey, here's our tips and tricks to unlock the actual good part of this game.
As much as you didn't like the gunplay in this game, that was probably the better route to take.
Doing the stealth?
Yeah. Or having the guard uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds very interesting.
Okay, I really want to know how the
different.
next section played out for y'all then. Once y'all get to the second area that leads up to Abbott. Like, so y'all had to fight through all those guards?
Yeah.
Did y'all get to talk to the there's a what you call it, a vendor in that area, like the main area.
There's vendors in this game? You know, this is getting borderline to the point where I'm gonna stop believing you.
I'm like
Stop
so
lying.
serious. Like you can, like once you have the guard clothes on in the first section, you can walk around and say hey to all the guards. And in that first section, they're actually friendly. But then when you put the heavy armor on and you go into the second section where Abbott's apartment is, or where his room is, like all those guards are really on edge and they don't even want to talk to you. But
can I ask you something?
What's up?
What guards are you talking about?
The ones that you probably mowed down.
What? Wait.
The ones that have lives and families.
In Abbott's apartment?
No, like leading up to his apartment.
Yeah, there were some guards leading up to that area.
There were plenty of guards.
Okay, then I think I thought you were talking about in his apartment. Okay.
Yeah, y'all killed these people with lives and families.
Hey.
Because Riddick's a monster, didn't you know?
Allegedly.
Like the movie
allegedly.
said?
So you're not killing nobody in this game? You're playing pacifist? Is that how you play, Trevor?
I tried.
You're a monster then too.
I mean, even in the Riddick lore, he doesn't kill unless it's absolutely necessary.
Oh well. He shot first in my game.
I mean, he's like his character alignment is like chaotic neutral.
Man, he was chaotic. I'm about to use your body as my landing pad in my game.
Well, that guy was shooting at him, so it was justified. Stand your ground. But yeah, there's a vendor in the second area once you get closer to Abbott, and you can buy a pack of cigarettes from him. I guess that helps you complete your collectibles. You can also purchase the heavy armor, which I assumed is what y'all could have done at that point, but I don't know why he was selling it, because it was basically the majority of my credits that I had, my currency.
Time out. Does that mean that you took more damage or something?
No.
Then it's just aesthetic.
I'm assuming once you get to that area, only certain guards are allowed in that area. So if I would have had the normal guard clothes in there, they would have recognized me, because everybody else had on the armor. So I think it was just for just to blend in.
Well, I didn't need any heavy armor to body everybody in there.
Because, like I said on that first section, you have to stealthily take down everybody unless you want to fight them after you use the retina scanner, because it alerts the guards. But in the second section, once you put on the heavy armor, you can basically walk through there. You can talk to the guards. There's a side quest in there where you can get alcohol for one of the other guards, and he gives you money for it.
No, I didn't do any of that.
Trevor making this game sound like Skyrim out here.
I mean, it really was. There's just like NPCs standing around talking.
No, I didn't do any of that. Yeah, I pretty much killed everybody, and then I got to Abbott's door, and I'm guessing that's your experience, Dante and Greg?
Pretty much.
And right before you get to Abbott's door, there's two guards talking, and I just sat there and listened to their conversation, because I think it was probably the longest conversation that any of the guards have. But they start talking about Riddick, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, you heard about this new prisoner Riddick?" And and the other one's like, "Yeah," and then finally they're like, "Oh, he looks a lot like that guy," and both of them turn and look at you. And I was thinking, oh man, I made it this far without anybody recognizing me. and now they're finally about to spot me. But they don't shoot or anything. They just kind of turn and look at you.
You know what they said for me? I think I heard something.
But yeah, that's right before Abbott, so you can tell them about Abbott if you want.
Yeah, so after you play Trevor's Fantasyland version, or you play like me, Dante, and Greg did, and you kill everybody, you get to Abbott's door, and then you kind of like ring the door or knock on his door, and he's like, "Who is it?" Then you basically like, you don't want to give the tell, I guess, that it's you.
You got like a few different choices you can make.
So that's another thing y'all probably couldn't do.
No, I got that.
Oh, you did get the...
Yeah, you're able to choose.
Yeah, so I told him we got a package for your delivery or whatever that you got to sign for. So
where did you get the package?
That's what he said.
I actually had a package for him. Yeah.
Really?
I think I actually had the package too.
Huh?
What?
I think I had the package.
Yeah, it's
like
a rifle
the assault
case.
Rifle.
Oh,
I don't know how I found it.
Yeah. Okay, I forgot about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, you do get that. Yeah.
I think it's just outside his door, and then you just are there like, oh, I'm going to just claim that I have him to deliver this to him. I think it was already sitting there.
Because, like, when you talk to the
that's
guards, you can ask them, like, hey, where's Abbott? You know, how do I get to him? And one of the guards is just like, oh, you're going to see Abbott? I have a package for him that I need delivered. Can you give it to him? And so you just take it.
Oh, no. So for us, the package was already at the door. It was just like, oh, there's a package for your delivery. And, you know, and he's like, all right, bring it in. And then you bring it in, and then I don't remember if it's Riddick that says something or if Abbott sees you. He's like on the other side of the apartment, and then just a firefight starts, and I don't know what it is.
Can we talk about the bad checkpointing in this game?
No. Yes. What about it?
So, the second you walk through his door, it checkpoints you, and no matter what like life you're at, you're stuck there for the entire boss battle. So I had one blip going in, and I had to deal with that dude with one freaking blip. And I didn't have a choice. I did not have a choice because I couldn't, like...
Go back.
You can only reload last checkpoint. There's no, like, go back a chapter.
So y'all actually had a fight with this guy?
Are you kidding?
Like, this wasn't part of, like, wearing the armor or anything, but my fight with him was extremely easy because as soon as I came into the room, you know, he just yelled, like, oh, shit, and then he ran to the back. I think he may have fired a couple of shots at me, but... he was standing beside something, and I basically shot it, and it exploded, and that was the end of the fight.
Okay, I thought you were saying, like, he saw you in your armor and killed himself or something like that. Like, I thought that's what you were about to say. No, like, I had that very same experience where I actually... it was basically like the wall-mounted turrets, where I was just shooting at him, and then there was that explosion of whatever he was standing beside, and he took damage, but it didn't kill him, and I just unloaded another clip of my assault rifle, and then he died. And I was like, if this is not the most anticlimactic boss fight I've ever played in my life, like, yeah. I was like, is that it? Like, he's this big bad dude, and this is literally like, I mean, we're at the halfway point of this game, give or take, and like, why was Russ harder than Abbott? So yeah,
it's a little weird.
I was very disappointed in this shootout. Did you? How was your? I mean, I'm guessing yours was a lot different, Dante, since you had one life or one bar of life.
It was pretty frustrating, just in the fact that like the enemies in this game are pretty aggressive compared to most shooters, which I like.
Same.
But having one blip in this game means you are at the cusp of death at any moment. So, through no fault of my own for real, I probably had to play at least about 8 or 9 times. So it wasn't super terrible, but it was super frustrating, and just knowing like, hey, I'm about to get reloaded.
If you were playing a more modern game, you could just revert to last checkpoint and then re-go into that, you know?
Well, that's the thing. I did revert to last checkpoint, but it was freaking at, like, his door. Like, after it locked behind you.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, it was just one of those situations where there was no getting out of it, aside from just playing better.
Gotcha. And then yours was the same, Greg, as me and Trevor's?
I don't remember exactly how many shots it took me to take him down, but I definitely remember seeing him running and just basically unloading and him dying relatively quickly.
Okay, so yeah, it just was really weird. It was just really weird. It's like, man, this is such a weak fight. And
but he still doesn't go down.
Go ahead, you got it from here.
So right after that, after he falls, you go to a cutscene, and Riddick is going in for the kill, but he is stopped by none other than Johns. And I don't know what Johns was doing in Abbott's apartment or his room, but he stops you from delivering the final blow on Abbott, and he's actually ready to take you because I guess he's gotten another bounty at another prison, or somebody's given him a better offer. So he's actually getting ready to take you out of the prison and leave. But then, what's the guy's name? Hoxie?
Yeah, the warden.
You know, he walks in, and it's like this this Mexican standoff, not so fast, and he's like, we're gonna send you to a deeper part of the prison, and that's when they show you being transported to what is it called? I guess they're sending you towards the mines in the prison.
Yeah, it's like the I like the aesthetic of it. It's like the what do you call them? The big trailer storage bins that you see trucks pull, and it's like those are the prisons, and so you're in like a big trailer that's put into a wall, and then like it's really dope. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a huge pit. And then it's just walls of,
you know, like in
trailers.
In Monsters, Inc., where they have all those doors moving around like a factory setting.
Yeah,
that's kind of how the cells work.
Yeah. It's really cool. But what was the cutscene? Like, I think it was like two dudes. Like, basically you have your trailer and then the front lid opens and you can basically walk on the door.
Oh yeah, it's like a catwalk.
Like a little landing. Yeah, like a catwalk, and you can walk between the ones that are all at the same height as you. And you kind of see like, oh, like you can see how serious it is because two prisoners, like one guy's having like it seems like a mental breakdown, and he's like bothers another prisoner, and another prisoner kind of pushes them. They scuffle, and the prisoner pushes them off into the pit and basically kills them. And then you see like, oh, he's on security camera and he's broken the protocol. I guess you're not supposed to kill other inmates here. And so he gets lit up by the security cam / turret gun that, and he knows it's about to happen. So he gets lit up.
Because he pleads for like 5 minutes.
yeah, he realizes.
It's like, oh, God, no, don't do it. No.
Yeah.
There's a cell open to me that I could easily dodge into.
He was stricken with fear.
No, just don't shoot me. I swear to God.
Stricken with fear.
He knew what was about to happen.
But, this area, you're a new part of prison. I don't know how it's going to be. Like, I haven't played it yet. Like, if it's going to be, like, quote-unquote, like a hub world or how that will work. But it's a dope aesthetic that I really dig, so I'm looking forward to playing it. I just hope that I don't have to do any more combat for the rest of the game.
I mean, the game can only go up from here, right?
Can it, though?
I see what you did there.
I'm good. Yeah. What was the quote? Like, damn, it was like, I'm about to go down to hell, or it only's up from here, or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Oh man,
this game is so good.
So yeah, say it again, Trevor. I thought you said
this
what?
game is so good.
Okay. All right. So, what do you guys want to see for the remainder of this game?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I
Yeah, go
don't.
ahead.
What do you say, Dante?
I don't.
You'll go first. You don't. You don't have any hopes.
Nope. No, you know what? I'm being unfair. This is not my least favorite game we've played.
So this is.
It's probably in the bottom 20%.
Is this above Brothers?
It is
So much
above
Starbreeze hate.
Brothers.
Hey,
I like Syndicate, but these other games. What about you, Greg?
so I'm hoping that the combat improves. Maybe
I'm hoping the gameplay just radically changes.
hey, you never know. I mean, some games have
You know, it could be Spore. Maybe there's a second phase where you go out into space and
Yeah.
you know it just becomes a sim at that point.
Or
Riddick
like-
is being like Prison Manager 2018 or whatever.
Or like, wasn't it Fable 3 that the game was like one way for like half of the game and then it completely changes at the end?
It could happen.
So, I mean, I think that's the only thing I'm kind of looking forward to. Hopefully that improves and we'll see.
What about you, Trevor?
So I am here for the lore.
You don't have to lie. You're here for the game.
No, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of stealth games, which is why I never got around to playing. Hey,
What's that got to do with this game? What's that got to do with this game?
I meant before playing. I did not know how this game was going to be. I just knew it was called a stealth game. And
I'm not a huge fan of MMOs, but like, what does that got to do with this game?
which is why I never got around to playing it. But I'm glad I'm playing it now, and I hope there's more like visions and voices from Shira, so that we can get a little bit more insight on Riddick, even if it's like stuff that's been touched on the movies before. I just want to see how it all connects.
Okay.
See, now I'm obligated to make sure he plays a stealth game, a true stealth game, at some
Hey,
point.
I've played Sticks.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna reach
What's
through
wrong with
this TV.
Sticks, man?
You know what Trevor be like?
Bro.
Man, Hitman Go is my favorite stealth game.
What's wrong with Sticks?
You know what? Nothing's wrong with Sticks.
Well,
You're
I'm
right.
kind of with Greg. I at least I just hope there's more gunplay than hand-to-hand combat. I don't want to go back. I don't really want to do either, but I would choose guns over hand-to-hand combat. I'm hoping that we get some stronger / more accurate weapons, or like, you know, like I'm hoping that like the guns kind of get cooler. Like we're in the future, and right now we've just had the regular like pistol, assault rifle, shotgun. So I'm hoping we get some cooler guns. I guess the only other question I have is, well, I have two questions. Do you guys see why people consider this? Actually, I'll hold that to the next one. So far, do you?
Yeah, I think that would be a better.
Yeah. Do you think this game so far has held up? Like, do you guys think that, like, by modern standards, like, do you think that this is, or even 2009? I guess we can even say this reboot or whatever, this remake. Like, is there anything that really sticks out of place as far as like, oh, this isn't in modern games? I think we touched on a couple, but like the controls, like the reload being a different button than normal, the crouch being a different button, and then just having to pick up health packs. But do you think, other than that, do you think there's anything else that kind of like dates this game or makes it seem like older than it actually is?
The lack of a real map. I mean, navigation cues at all.
I mean, there is a map. You just have to pause.
Well, not
it.
like a real, like a map with like an indicator on your location.
Yeah. There's no map in the HUD.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've never been to prison, but I don't think you get a map.
Trevor, Trevor,
That's the second time he's used that line.
he's never been to prison and he's never picked up a girl at a bar. All right. What about you, Dante?
I think the gameplay actually ages decently, aside from like some people are gonna say this health mechanic is a little archaic, but I don't think the combat, like at least the melee combat, it's different, but I don't think it's outdated. If I saw that in a modern game, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, this is an old thing. I just think it's very exclusive and unique to this game in particular.
Yeah, yeah.
The shooting I don't think is great, but I think it's fine. So I don't really have too much of an issue with it. And I do like kind of navigating the prison and how it's all somewhat interconnected. It's not like the most cohesive thing per se, but I think there's different elements to every area you go to. So I like that.
I know what it is for you. I think we all touched on something that we don't like, but overall I think we like the game. Or like okay. I'm sorry. We've all touched on a thing that we think doesn't hold up, but I think overall we think the game holds up. That's what I meant to say. So, like, for you, it was the checkpointing.
I don't think Greg's going to co-sign that.
For you, it was checkpointing. The checkpointing was pretty crappy. So, you got stuck in a sticky situation where a modern game, like, you could checkpoint or save yourself. You know, you can't save...
Or in a modern game, your health would have been replenished.
Sure.
By the time you got to the checkpoint.
And then I guess for Greg, it's... Yeah, Greg doesn't like this game, but also... What games do Greg like, besides the game he picks, you know?
Street Fighter V?
So he only likes bad games.
I thought Catherine was pretty good.
Okay. What about you, Trevor? Do you think this game holds up?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I mean, I'm not arguing or anything. I think it holds up. I mean, there's some things.
Is it better than Brothers?
Apples and oranges. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, man, because Brothers is a good puzzle game and this is a good stealth game.
Good answer. It was like Family Feud. Good answer. I guess we don't have anything else, do we? Do you have your question lined up, Dante?
I actually do. I thought of it a couple minutes ago. So, if you were to... Let me see. Let me actually rephrase this. What movie franchise would you like to see be made into a game?
My answer would be a little dated, but maybe like The Rock. I mean, that would be kind of dope.
What kind of game would that be?
Yes. Also give a developer. And
you don't have to give a developer. Or you can if you want, I guess.
Let's see. I have to think about that. It would be a shooter, but it's kind of a question of like, I don't know, like maybe like you do Sledgehammer or something like that, because it seems like that would be up their alley or something like that. I don't know, but for sure it would be a shooter.
Okay, what about you, Dante? Okay. Or Trevor, whichever.
Man, I'm trying to think. So you said any film franchise?
Yeah, any film franchise.
Trying to think of one that hasn't already been adapted to a video game.
That you like?
Like where they're done, well, most have been done poorly, but...
I have the game, but I'm trying to think of... Actually, hold on, I have the movie, I should say, but I'm trying to think who I'd want to...
Okay, I can do mine while you guys are waiting. So, I would like to see an Inception, like, I don't know if it would have to be a prequel, a sequel, or interquel, since that franchise is so weird, or I guess it's not even a franchise, it's literally just one movie. But I'd like to see it done by Remedy, behind Alan Wake and Quantum Break, because they already do a lot of time-bendy, like, supernatural third-person shooters, which I think would be like right up Inception's alley. I also wouldn't be against Hideo Kojima, Hideo Kojima, giving his take on that, because I think it'd be really interesting.
What is that new Remedy game that they're working on? That
Control.
That I get kind of like a little bit of an Inception type vibe from that.
Exactly. So I think they're already kind of giving me what I want.
Okay. I think so. The movie, man. Okay, I had two. So
It's got to be Fast and Furious.
that's why I wanted to choose one that wasn't Fast and Furious.
By Criterion.
No, because okay, so like I was thinking like one was Rush Hour, and I want Ninja Theory to do it, mostly because I just want to see the facial animations on Chris Tucker. Like
That's so oddly specific.
like I want to see Chris Tucker facial animations and Jackie Chan's like fighting animations. So I think that would be really cool. Like, cause you know how Jackie Chan, like I'm thinking of like Enslaved and like how like he's interacting with things, and that's how Jackie Chan fights. You know, he's jumping through ladders and fighting with chairs and stuff. And I think that would be really cool and like smooth looking in a Ninja Theory game, but also like specifically Chris Tucker's facial animations, because they do really good face work. But then I was trying to think of like what type of game, if I did Fast and Furious, like what type of game, because I would want a little bit of car stuff, but I wouldn't want enough to like warrant bringing Criterion on. So then I thought about it, and I want it to be ArcSys to do it, but I want them to have the same animator that they had to do the animation or the anime parts for Catherine. So I want all the car stuff to take place in like anime, like cutscenes. So like, you know,
Is this dry?
but I want
It's weirdly specific.
but I want the actual game to be like a cover based shooter, kind of like I want it to be okay. Yeah. Okay, I got it. So I want ArcSys, to whoever their animation team that did the Catherine,
The one odd specific, like, no cutscene that you love.
yeah, but I want all
That
the
guy,
race
right?
scenes to be that. But then I want the main game to be a cover-based shooter done by Swordfish, the guys that did 50% Blood in the Sand. So I want Vin Diesel and The Rock.
Oh, so
Like you have,
so you want
you
Tygon
have to
Studios to help out too?
yeah. So you have to pick Vin Diesel as the main character, and you can pick your buddy. Like Vin Diesel is the 50 Cent in this game, and then your partners can be Ludacris, The Rock, Tyrese, or R.I.P. Paul Walker, or Paul.
And all four of them are love interests.
No, but you can do the same. Like you can do the taunts, but instead of the taunts being super like super like over the top, they're just going to be the Vin Diesel one-liners. Okay, and then so those my games.
Okay, mine's gonna be really simple.
Top that.
I would want The
game.
Wiz, not the Wizard of Oz, The Wiz. To be adapted into like a role playing game, of course by Square Enix.
So what is the Wiz about?
It's basically the Wizard of Oz, but it's told
With Michael Jackson.
With Michael Jackson, Diana Ross,
Nipsey Russell.
It's pretty good. Actually, have you ever played Costume Quest, Trevor?
Played what?
Costume Quest?
No, I've heard of it.
Yeah, like that would be cool. It's like my first RPG. Like it's like a baby mode RPG, and it would be cool to play that. The Wiz through that. Not to say that The Wiz doesn't deserve like a full blown like RPG either. But like, dude, like, can you imagine my game? Like, instead of taunting, you could be like, "I live my life 1/4 mile at a time." And that's the line you say, or like, what was the line? Still a Buster, and then the one where he's like, "There's nothing more important in this room than family," and he's just gunning people down. Great game. What a great game. Greg, do we got any emails? We're gonna wrap this up.
Unfortunately, no. But you guys know what's up. You can always hit us up at misscheckpoints@gmail.com and tell us what your favorite movie-based game is, what your favorite movie is. Whatever. We're there. So yeah, guys, hit us up there, and we'll hopefully be able to read on the show.
All right, and where can people find you at?
I am on Twitter at BoomboxHero, Facebook.com/BoomboxHero, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/XDRDMagnegro.
All right, where can people find you at, Dante?
People can find me at Twitch, twitch.tv/AwakenCloud, and I should be doing some pretty regular streaming coming up.
All right. Where can people find you at, Trevor?
People can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Lyric Unsung.
And you guys can find me on Steam. I'll probably be playing Cook Serve Delicious 2 and hating myself for it.
Wasting his life away.
Yeah. Or I'll be down to play some Left 4 Dead 2.
Let's go.
I'll be down to play some of that.
Also wasting his life away.
Also, I think I'm going to probably pick up Rocket League on Steam. Wasting my life away as well on that, so you can hit me up on that too. So yeah, playing games that I already played before. That's me.
You should at least stream your Cook Serve Delicious if you're gonna commit to this atrocity.
Man, I gotta figure out. Streaming is just too much. I don't have enough know-how.
It's easy enough.
I hear. The one time I ever tried to stream, I streamed myself playing FTL, no camera, no audio. It was tight.
I thought he was going to say he streamed himself in his underwear on accident.
Hey, man. That too. One other thing. We have figured out our next batch of games, so we wanted to let you guys know what we're going to be playing for the next 5 months. So I think I said earlier that we were going to say the month of October would be the runner-up in our May fan submission game. So the runner-up was The Evil Within. So that's going to be our game of October, and that's like a good little tie-in to the season, to the holidays, I guess you could say. Playing a scary game in October, so not looking forward to that at all. And then the rest of the games, and I think we have a graphic up hopefully soon for the rest of these games. Are we gonna have a graphic posted up on the Facebook page?
Hopefully.
Okay, cool. So
it doesn't have to be immediate. I mean,
yeah,
we're still playing.
Yeah, soon. We'll have it up hopefully before the end of the week. So for the month of October, like I said, we're playing The Evil Within. The month of November is Trevor's month, and that will be Detroit Become Human. For the month of December, it's Dante's month, and we are playing Dead Cells. So we're actually playing that. That's going to be the first new game. Actually, both of those games are new from this year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 2018.
And then January 2019, so beginning of next year, it's going to be Greg's game, and that is Doom, the most recently release and the 2016 release. And then my month, February, taking it back, and we're playing some Psychonauts. So, The Evil Within, Detroit Become Human, Dead Cells, Doom 2016, and Psychonauts. And those are going to be our next 5 games. So, try to pick those up. Black Friday, or even some random sales that you see leading up to it, Labor Day sale. But those are going to be the next batches of games we play. So, yeah, be on the lookout for us starting to hype up and get ready for those games. Do you guys got anything else?
Nope.
All right, cool. Well, we are Mixed Checkpoints, and we are out. Peace.